Joining us now from Berlin is Bernhard Mattes. He's the president of the German Association of Automotive Industry. Mr. Mattes, thank you for joining us today. We're 8 weeks away from Brexit. Are we underestimating the possibility of a no-deal Brexit? And what would that mean to the manufacturing and auto sector in Germany?
We have a very, very strong, and good morning, we have a very strong supply chain between Europe and the UK. And all our automotive companies and also the suppliers, they have plants in the UK and also here in Europe, mainland Europe. And components and so on are going across the channel several times. And therefore, we have to do everything to avoid a hard Brexit with tariffs and borders and all this, because the free and fair trade between the UK as one of the biggest markets in Europe is of great importance for our automotive industry and the supply chain with our suppliers.
What do you think the future of the auto manufacturing industry in the UK will look like post-Brexit?
I don't know. I do not want to speculate, but it's clear that the companies are looking at various options, what could happen and what they would do. But I don't want to speculate what would happen. The main thing is that we have to encourage the politicians to do everything to avoid a hard Brexit, and on the other hand, to keep the 27 EU members together.
Bernhard, you have a wonderful history in this, starting out at BMW and your service to Ford Motor for years and years and years. The complexities of this are extraordinary, folks, beginning with the idea of 430,000 German cars that move out of the U.S. every year into the global market. What is the best outcome to advantage all?
On Brexit, it
no,
is
on
a
autos, on the tariff war. On the tariff war, what is the best outcome for the German automobile industry?
I mean, what we prefer and what makes the German automotive industry strong is free and fair trade around the globe. And so when it comes to tariffs, we are very optimistic to be very strong in competition, even without any tariffs. So what we want is globally and also transatlantically a fair and free trade, a good trade agreement for the future, and no additional tariffs and no barriers.
Okay, well, that sounds great. What do you need from the German government? I mean, the focus now is U.S., China, China, U.S. At some point, it's going to be German automobiles, and Mr. Trump guaranteed is going to go after that, even though I just said 430,000 German cars move out of the U.S. every year. I mean, I don't think the politicians know that. Have you guys informed the politicians of the complexity you've lived for 3 decades with?
Absolutely. We have had talks with the German government, but also with the EU Commission. We made very clear what fair and free trade means, what the supply chain between our European operations, the US-American operations, but also the Chinese market means, and how important it is that we have not additional tariffs, but no tariffs for the future. That we made that very clear, and also what the advantages of that is. So they know that, and they have all our good arguments in the package when it comes to negotiations of the EU Commission with, for example, the US government.
Right. So, Mr. Mattes, to put it simply, you went to the U.S. to basically state the German automakers' case. Does the U.S. listen? And what are the chances that the Porsches of this world get slapped with a 25% tariff?
I have been to the hearings on Section 232 personally. I have had talks with the U.S. government as well as other representatives of the German car industry, but also our politicians who have all the information from us. And we made all very clear that we have invested heavily in the U.S. We have created jobs. We are exporters from the U.S. into other markets. So we strengthen the U.S. economy. We all made that very clear. That is well known now by the U.S. government. And we hope that they take this into account when it comes to decision making about tariffs or no tariffs.